appreciate that, Don, and just a mutual respect between the two of us. And he will probably agree with me that I think the Lieutenant Governor is the most important and most powerful position in the Commonwealth of Virginia, or perhaps in the country. Yeah. Agree on that. Mark, it's always great to see you. Is this guy somewhere? I said, look at him always smiling. That's why I like being around you so much. But I do want to tell you, I've heard these card stories before about playing bridge and you win the first time. Now, I may be from the Eastern Shore, but I wasn't just born yesterday. So I'm sitting down with our current governor, Terry McAuliffe, and some of his buddies playing a card game that supposedly President Clinton taught them how to play. And anyway, I said, oh yeah, I'll play. And anyway, so same deal. I won first round. Well, it went downhill. So anyway, don't ever let anybody. Anyway, thank you all so much for being here. It's great to see you on a Sunday afternoon. I know it's a busy time of year, but it's an exciting time in Virginia. It's an exciting time if you're interested in politics, which I'm sure all of you are. And it's just a great time to be here and support Mark. And he has been a breath of fresh air to Richmond. And you hear all the gloom and doom out there, and that our country's going to hell in a handbasket. I'm here to tell you, and I think Don and Mark agree with me, and everybody else in here that are public servants, Virginia is on a good trajectory. Good things are happening in Virginia. And, just a couple of things, and you don't hear this sometime, but our unemployment rate right now in Virginia is at 3.7%. Can we do better? Absolutely. But it's the lowest that it's been since 2008, and as you all know, we've been through some very challenging times, and it's also the lowest in the southeast of the United States. And so we as Virginians, and because of good representation in Richmond, are on a good trajectory. Now, could it be better? How can we make it better? The answer to that is to elect more Democrats. I'm going to just make a couple points, but let me just mention a couple areas, and I've been around and talked to a few people, but education, let's talk about that. When we talk about bringing businesses and manufacturers to Virginia, people, manufacturers and businesses, they're interested in making sure that we have a world-class education system here, right here in Virginia. We need to be able to train our future employees. And so one of the things that we have worked on, and Eileen, thank you for being here, and Mark, great relationships now occur between our business community and our colleges and universities. We have 23 great community college systems in Virginia. We're really in the theme of bringing skills to jobs. People invest in their education, and we want to make sure that they're ready to enter the workforce once they graduate. We also need to make our colleges more affordable for all Virginians. At the high school level, and this is something we don't think about sometimes, but not everybody is destined to go to college. We always encourage our children to go to college, but you don't necessarily have to go to college to have a good, high-paying job. And so we have put a lot more emphasis on restructuring the high school curriculum, taking core subjects the first 2 years, and then for those that want to, vocational and technical training in the second 2 years of high school. We, again, thanks to Eileen and Mark, we have revised the SOL system in Virginia. Accountability is important, but we've got to stop teaching our children how to take multiple choice tests. We need to teach them to think creatively, so good work is being done there. And then something that I'm really proud of, and we talked about this earlier, is pre-K education. And first starting with kindergarten, we need to make sure that our children have access to an all-day kindergarten throughout Virginia. That's not happening in all areas of Virginia. But as far as pre-K, and I can tell you this as a pediatric neurologist, Don, and also as a parent, there's a tremendous learning potential in our children before they ever get to kindergarten. And so I tell people, if one family has the means to send their children to pre-K and another family doesn't, that's really what starts the gap between the haves and the have-nots. And as you all know, children are learning to read up until the 3rd grade. And then after the 3rd grade, they're reading to learn. And if our children aren't reading at the 3rd grade level, then they're at a tremendous disadvantage for the rest of their lives. So education is key, and you can thank people like Mark and Eileen for working on that. I also had some discussion, and I just want to to end on this note, because we need to continue talking about it, Lowell. We were talking about this earlier, is Medicaid expansion. You know, the Affordable Care Act is here to stay. There are some great things about the Affordable Care Act. Think about pre-existing conditions. You know, before the Affordable Care Act, if I had diabetes and left one place of employment and went to another, they could say, Ralph, we're not interested in you, we're not interested in insuring you. Well, that's behind us, that's in the rearview mirror. Think about being able to keep our children on our health coverage until they're 26. What a great way to help our children get started. So good things about the Affordable Care Act. Can we make improvements? Absolutely. The way we do that is by sitting down at the table and communicating and say, these are some things that we can improve upon, and let's get it done. But what I want to leave you with is Medicaid expansion. We pay our taxes annually. We send money to Washington to help good folks like Don Beyer. And Medicaid expansion is designed to bring that money back to Virginia. And so right now we have about 400,000 working Virginians, and I would underline the word working. They're working 1, 2, 3 jobs, and because the cost of health care have risen so much faster than people's salaries, they can't afford coverage. So I would ask you, where do people that don't have coverage go for their health care? They go to the emergency room. And there is a time and a place for the emergency room, but it's not where preventive care takes place, and it is very, very expensive. I would also add that probably over 15,000 of those 400,000 working Virginians are veterans. And I'm a veteran. I know we have other veterans in here, but the least that we can do for those that have served our country for our freedoms is to make sure that they have access to health care, and that their families do as well. There are also a number of mentally ill individuals who don't have coverage. If they don't have cover or access to a provider or access to their medications, they end up in the emergency room or worse, in our jails and penitentiaries. So morally, it is the right thing to do in Virginia to provide coverage to all Virginians. And then I will tell you from a business perspective, every day, and Mark and Eileen know this, every day we don't expand Medicaid, we are not only leaving on the table, but we're giving to other states who we compete with $5 million a day. Now, we have forfeited about $7.9 billion with a B dollars by not expanding Medicaid. And what I would tell you is that any business person that wants to tell me, and I own my medical practice, I'm a co-owner, any business person that tells me that it's a good idea to give their competitors $5 million a day, I would tell you as a neurologist, they should have their heads down. So, as we continue to move Virginia in a positive direction, as we continue to fight for the LGBT community, as we continue to fight for women's reproductive rights, as we continue to fight for transportation, for education, for voting rights, it is unfortunately difficult to change some of these folks' minds out there. I have tried, and I will continue to try. I will continue to work with both sides of the aisle, but when people are shut down, they won't communicate, when they don't want to make change, rather than change their minds, we need to change the seats. And that's what we collectively need to do. We need to find Virginians who want to serve the public and want to do it for the right reason. And I can tell you, I have watched this young man. You are young.
Everything's relative.
And he has literally been a breath of fresh air in Richmond, and he's going to be there for years. He's got a great potential. I would tell you, next year, as you all know, I'm applying for a new job, but I would just say, please don't run for governor. So thank you all so much for being here to support Mark. He's doing a great job. We need more Mark Levines in Richmond. So without further ado, I'll turn you over to our delegate, Mark Levine. Thank you so much.